So that is the basic message which Professor Mehta wants to communicate through his scholarly lecture, which I think will be of a great help in understanding the politics. Actually, some of us are more involved in the political level, social level, and it will definitely deepen our understanding as to how this identity issue at one level is trying to undermine the secular ethos of the country, and thereby the freedom is under threat. That's how I look at it. That, of course, secularism, every country has evolved in a different way. In India, it definitely evolved with during the period of British, when the changes for modern education, transport, communication, they threw up the new classes who were longing for values of freedom, liberty on one side. But unfortunately in India, the older classes, older rulers also did not disappear. And they resorted to a type of identity politics right from there. If we see on one side, we see the emergence of the national movement with people belonging to all religious identities. They had their identities intact. They did not give up their religious identity. Be it Mahatma Gandhi, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, even Subhash Chandra Bose, they did not give up their religious identity, but they transcended that religious, or rather than they stuck to an overarching Indian identity in the main. Probably they saw in Indian identity a more scope for justice, a more scope for freedom. So that was on one side. To me, what happened that as these changes were taking place, the older ruling classes of landlords and nawabs and rajas and all that, they felt threatened because of these emerging ideas which talk of justice for all. Because we had a feudal society where justice was not the underlying rule, where the hierarchy, and a structural society where structured hierarchy of caste, gender, and class, they were all prevalent in the sense of landlord being on the top. Then on one side we had a caste hierarchy, gender hierarchy. So these were the people who did not associate with the emerging Indian national identity. While I must say, even the people who were associated with working class people, Narayan Meghaji Lokhande or Bhagat Singh's ideology on one side, people who were longing for social equality, people who were longing for gender equality, they all went to the overarching Indian identity. In a very simple form, if I understand, when we talk of Indian National Congress, we are not talking of a group or organization of any particular religion. But people have their religion within it. We are talking of, similarly, when we are talking of people like those who struggled for workers' rights, they are also having one identity as a worker, but another overarching identity of India does become their hallmark. Similarly, the identity for gender justice or caste equality, that also comes under the Indian identity. But what happens, the old ruling classes of landlords, they stick to their religious identity in the main, because that they saw as the main instrument for bypassing the societal changes in the value system. Society is not just changing in the material sense, the value system of the society is also changing, and that is not up to the liking of the old ruling classes of landlords, etc. So today what I see, identity politics has been mainly thrown up, not only in India, South Asia, India has done the best of it. We have worse examples to which we should not ever compare, like Pakistan, where identity, religious identity, sub-religious identity became the main hallmark of politics. And of course, last year, we must have seen that at that time, Sri Lanka drew my attention, and I came to know that there also the main identity which was ruling in Sri Lanka was built around Sinhala Buddhism. And that's how they could persecute Tamil, Indians, Hindus, Christians and Muslims there. So India so far had been doing a very good job in a relative sense. Because when you see countries, our neighbors like Pakistan and Sri Lanka going down the hill with dominance of religious identity, we can definitely say that first 30, 40 years of republic, this type of a sectarian identity, divisive identity, did not play a major role. It was there. It was incipient. It was nurturing. It was developing. It was seeping into different portals of our society. But the dominant concept which came was coming around the issues related to this society. And that's why, of course, I'm tempted to talk of two definitions of temples. This is just to give a gross differentiation between same word being used for two different projects. So while inaugurating Bhakhara Nangal Dam, Jawaharlal Nehru says, these dams, and in bracket I'll put these universities, these IITs, these CSIRs, these ISROs, these AIMS, bracket closed, these are the temples of modern India. So this is one type of secular identity which came into India. And after 1980s, we see the other type of temples coming up. And of course, in very humorous way, I say, Rath Yatri reverses this equation. He says our temples are hidden under the mosque, so make a list of the mosques, break them and all that. So this basically, this type of a identitarian politics is the biggest threat to secular values which our professor was defining. And this, of course, sometimes I also try to feel that these type of issues, these identitarian issues are a great threat to our freedom. Whether we will survive as a free India, secular India, democratic India or not, depends on whether these identitarian issues can be curtailed, combated or not. Sorry, I'll just give one humorous example if you don't mind. Like, you must be knowing that in the name of this identity politics, first a mosque was broken. That's when first we realized that this type of a temple-mosque issue can be so dangerous to the society. And that, you see the whole trajectory of that breaking the mosque. First you break the mosque, polarize. Then you build the temple, polarize. Then now you start the trains from all over the country to go to that place. Again, second type of a thing is coming up. And more humorously, I recall that when so many lynching took place in the name of cow, that was a time when I also got disturbed. What is this identitarian politics which is trying to bypass the train of our secular journey? Whatever little we were achieving, definitely as a country, we were making some strides because of which things were bettering. But when we come up with these issues of and relate it to our sectarian narrow identity, I do concede all identities coexist at the same time. Question is, to which identity we give more importance? Question is whether there are some forces in the society which deliberately, through their sustained work in the community from decades and decades, try to highlight one particular identity while undermining and demonizing other identities, particularly around religion. So to me, friends, I think today the survival of our freedom and democracy depends whether we can combat this identitarian politics. On one side, I said there is a Nehru standing for a definition of a temple. Other side, there is a current politics for whom the temples have a different connotation at all. For whom the religious issues which can be incited, which can divide the society at a political level, be it cow, be it love jihad, be it ghar wapsi, be it all that. So that today's combat is between the secular definitions which Nehru, Patel, Subhash Chandra Bose, Mahatma Gandhi, Maulana Azad, they at one level, while retaining their religious identity and faith in full, committed to the definition to which Nehru came. And today somehow, by default, we could not preserve those particular type of secular, and which secularism, which subsumed other identities, we could not preserve that, so that the other type of politics, which totally harps on emotions and identity, when emotions are mixed with the identity, that is the most dangerous mix. That is what leads to communal violence, polarization, and strengthening of a particular politics in the society. This is what Dr. Engineer, through his deeper study of communal violence, unraveled. And I'm glad to tell you that our center, particularly Irfan and Neha both, they are continuing that study of communal violence, which is a result of all that. So friends, to me, I think what is very important as an offshoot of this lecture, that we must resolve that we have to save democracy. We have to save freedom. Freedom, democracy, secularism, they are on the same side of the politics. While narrow identities, issues related to those identities which are divisive, they are a threat to our democracy. So whether our democracy can survive or not, the answer is both yes and no. If we can combat this type of a sectarian identity issues, if we can combat the hatred created by sectarian identity issues, if we can combat that and make it a major national discourse, definitely we can save our democracy, freedom and justice in times to come. Otherwise, the answer can be the other way around also. So of course, through this great learned lecture, we can deepen our understanding about how do we engage in the society, deepen our understanding so that we can contribute to preserving these particular values which are an offshoot of our freedom movement. Thank you very much.